Okay, this is the Grand Tanker Car Commission by Adam Nugent Rosenberger. There's the front cover. This is the first page standard improvement document. Military Standard 3008. Interactive Electronic Technical Media Global Combat Support System Standard Improvement Document Improvement Proposal. This is the Grand Tanker Car Commission Avenue. This is dedicated Grandpa Ed Rosenberger. That's me as a child. This is standardization improvement in interactive electronic. The thesis is standardization improvement in interactive electronic technical support global combat support system in the transportation rehabilitation design first and second division civil military state projection modulate and theater operations and railroads and petroleum specials for warrant claim and commandment direct issuance of the local movements purpose of the land in continental United States along with national pipeline mapping system create tanker car system vehicle washing facilities each interstate fuel dispensing yard, thus having more than tanker cars on the hand and ready for use. For speedy, central reliability on defensive fuel routes to emancipate from foreign oil, perform readiness assessment visits and petroleum facility class 3 pipeline inspection of tanker cars on hand, handling respiratory areas and facilities in the incident control system following testing inspection of hazmat material defense fuel system points, audit, evaluate cars on hand, frequency cleaning, tanking cleaning, and other underground above ground tanks. Inspector General visits readiness assessment battalions, 88th Military Occupational Specialist Petroleum Specialists. These battalions will perform maintenance inspections and testing of the depots, fuel station, petroleum facilities. U.S. authorities within the continental United States follow the guidelines created within the Code of Federal Regulation of Inspection Enforcement Ticketing Offenses of the Federal Railroad Administration, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, Surface Transportation Board with mutual understanding and mutual agreements take the correct enforcement and civil penalties toward offenses under their jurisdiction. Promote hazardous waste material management program committees, charters, auxiliaries, local, state, and federal levels. Preparation guidance, hazardous materials, waste, and management establishment hazmat training curriculum for the first responders, hazmat officers, and the committee creates community awareness, local, state, and federal hazmat and enforcement laws, codes, jurisdictions, and authorities. Create a presidential seat with the chairman and joint chief of staff, cross command, U.S. Transportation Administrative for Congressional Review Oversight was while deputizing FRA, PHMSA, FCMCSA, FAA, Maritime Goods, and Surface Transportation Board for readiness assessment visits also include Nuclear Regulatory Commission, aka the Grand Commissioner, to work with Allied Joint Movement Transportations within the continents to give them the seat Chairman, Joint Chief of Staff Authority who deputize those administrations within the U.S. to badge officers armatize of the Working Battalion of Inspector Generals for a Defensive Fuel Supply Center investigation audit and the evaluated campaign for strategic rail corridor network and depot maintenance strategic enterprise plan with reliability central maintenance army and navy engineering facilities. Table of contents, chapter tank car cleaning, spill investigation, tank car shipment, tanker car and petroleum facility investigation, authority, tanker car inspection, petroleum facilities, chapter the audit, chapter hazardous material management, programs, State Emergency Response Commission, Chapter Inspection, Hazmat, Curriculum, Chapter STRACNet, Chapter Econ, Chapter Commission, Tanker Car Sets, Chapter Incident Command System, Webpage, Charter Conductor, Request for PHMSO, MOS, Petroleum Specialist, Tanker Car Sample, Garrison Policy Statement, Guideline Sample, Garrison Committee Charter, Tanker Car Specs, Insert UFC Petroleum Facility Inspection Checklist, Tanker Car Facility Forms, for authorization conversion tanker car tanks. And that's the first volume table of contents, but we'll move on to the guts of the book. UFC Petroleum Facility Inspection Checklist, Chapter Tanker Car Cleaning. In the tanker car inspection, cleaning fuel with the operating storage tanks. Operating tank dispenses fuel directly to the mill. Equipment bulk storage tanks are fixed to the receive, store, and issue fuel not directly to mill equipment. A visual inspection, physical entry of the inspection, determine cleaning operation with two options. Option A is the need for inspection by periodic basis. Option B, the standard do not apply with the required interior inspection or cleaning due to the need for tank repairs, leaks, suspected internal structural failure, tank modification, change of product, and or gross fuel contamination for outside sources. Ground marine fuel cleaning by tank samples at the ASTM D270 determine the military handbook 200 quality surveillance handbook of fuel lubricants, related products, qualifying bottom samples, unsatisfactory sludge, excessive rust, deteriorating tank liners, etc. for tank cleaning. Tank car cleaning maintenance facility may be added to the strategy of the railway corridor network or STRACnet, creation of the tanker car cleaning facility along strategic railway corridor network and national pipeline mapping system to achieve total Army performance evaluation system and fuel post and depot station technical TAM strategize forward arming refueling points of military freight traffic rules. These facilities are built in the strategic railway corridor network, increase frequency of inspection, petroleum storage tank rate, tank car washing facilities to reach cleanup target rates that logistically organize toward the performance of the defense fuel supply certain facility success rate. Miracle tank cleaning is an Army excellent idea with implement tank cleaning. Miracle Company is with contracts to the USA have devised cleaning recipes for the virtually all products of the Emergency Response Guidebook. Military Standard 457A frequency inspection petroleum tank storage tanks. Military tanking cleaning military handbook 241 cargo tanking clearing and miracle.chemiserve.edu. Chapters Spill Investigation. Tanker car spills being investigated, cleaning ups in accordance with the Emergency Response Guidebook with the U.S. Corps Engineering Local Emergency Response. First responders at the site. Identification has material access, NBC medical threat, material safety data sheets, cleaning and control contaminants, exposure to the public, and its duty of all those involved to have spill prevention control plan in place in local, state, federal, local, state, and federal guidelines. In this chapter, I would to give those hazmat garrison committees and hazmat groups to prepare themselves with these guidelines that we may be able to investigate the facility of hazmat gas transportation PHMSA quality fuel systems assurance along class 3 pipeline operation inland across interstate and intrastate of fuel lubricants. I believe these facilities need strict emergency plans with integrity management unified petroleum facility. The interstate pipelines need to be focus groups towards situations of the Class 3 facilities, but more important, they invite first responders and departments on the premises of the facilities to as routines or security and surveillance that may be given a mission as a gesture of compliance to local law enforcement and spill preventions at strategic fuel supply points with among the Federal Railroad Administration, PHMSA, Surface Transportation Board, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the in compliance taking the Department of State and Transportation in at 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Washington, D.C. for public domain to congressional record standards mandate hazmat legislation design curriculum with fuel supply point facilities and inspector general common law enforcement to articulate on premises for packing, delivering of fuel and hazmat. Readiness assessment visit is a location with a non-career military occupational specialist deputizing law enforcement jurisdiction with hazmat supply routes, IG train response committees of the conservation public attitude and awareness practice with the tanker car courses reproducible in the interstate hazmat material management program charters auxiliaries for investigation inspection enforcement properly established local and along pipeline routes residential assessment otherwise not warranted through the lines of educational employment not already provided to leave the state sovereignty within their Bureau of Investigation pledged to proportional and rationed government issues slates of federal government and in order to provide common expenses with penalties subject to administrative rulings. Chapter Tanker Car Shipments. Under the command CDR Rust Transcom. The plan for a ready assessment visit on UFC petroleum facilities with a strategic railroad corridor network ready assessment at the 88th Division Black Cat 92F Special F Petroleum Specialist in the Total Army Performance Evaluation System Inspector General of the Tanker Car Facility, Appendix 3, UFC 2, I believe it's 3460 2017 inspection list auditing, measuring automated deployment auditing system in response to manpower supply limited to the following is to implement the proper gas distribution integrity management plan prior to the formal petroleum installation investigation assessment. Department of Marketing and Logistics Code Federal Regulation Title 49 Part 17310 Tanker Car Shipments DOD Manual 414025M produce procedures of management of petroleum products between the interstate departments of the transportation critical task 101-519-5112 CONUS oversee bulk petroleum slate should be used to negotiate using supply point between national level to figure the best gas distribution integrity management plan for consumer implementation of the Inspector General Readiness Assessments visit done to the Inspector General PHMSA and FRA and U.S. Trams Command by CDR U.S. Trams Command. Commander of the CDR U.S. Trams Command. 13440 Department of Army Transportation Agreement Mueller Pool Services Train Set Out Order DA Form 5616 and Routing Slip DA Form 1222 the DoD Domestic Freight Routing Request and Order Petroleum Slates Terminal Message Report Issue Receipts and with Scheduled Dispatch. Slates are transmitted by Automatic Digital Network AutoDIN facility in the time of arrival of the Defense Fuel Supply Center and on before the 10th of each calendar month. There are 3 periods of the delivery, 1st to the 10th, 11th to the 20th, 21st to the end of the month. Using strategic leapfrogging during the investigation, creating strategic railway corridor network and gas distribution critical tests 101-519-5110 schedule of dispatch petroleum pipeline with the National Pipeline Mapping System of Logistics Consummation graph showing the total barrels of any given product at each terminal storage location. With critical task 101-5119-11 2. Prepare RCS DLA W1884 Defense Fuel Supply Center Bulk Petroleum Terminal Message Report auditing the Department of Army Logistics Agency. The FRA Regulatory Risk-Based Audits and FRA Hazardous Material Division methodology evaluate shippers of the hazardous material in the tanker car facility audit. Ship model incorporates inspection history, compliance history, citation history, safety history, time from last inspection, order to priorities inspection audits. Tanker car facility risk-based audits view the data creation and index regulatory compliance time since last audit. Compliance history level of the tanker car facility certification type of service of the equipment process at the facility, risk models intended for use in planning national safety program with the regional and national level to assist region hazmat material specialists, priority resource allocations. National Inspection Plan 8 FRA region focus inspection primarily on rail carrier inspection points such as yard, off-road sidings, and interchange points. National NIP is addressing railroad inspection for hazmat material detail on per carrier basis. FRA tank car facility audits report activity related to the quality assurance program of the new tanker car facility, including a new car construction, repairs, component manufacturing, and repair. Also, tanker car owners' leases in the audit report component facilities, confined space entry, new car construction, owner lease audit, and inspection repair facility. For all audits should be announced. For audits conducted with the headquarters quality assurance team, 4 weeks notice shall be given with a regional office where selected facilities exist. All reports upon completion must be made available to the FRA regional management. Audits made by conducted directly after the Association of American Railroad Audits, tank car damage assessment investigated and documented to overview incident site safety, equipment to be used, incident site damage assessment, off-site damage assessment, and office damage assessment. The Military Trafficking Material Command Freight Traffic Rules and Publications Number 10A following the DA Form 5706R Track Bulletin, DA Form 567 5615 set out orders DA Form 2493 or 2442 unit train loading plan given. DA Form 6519R daily empty car situation reports. DA Form 5617 daily statement of cars on hand of the tanker car Code Federal Regulation Title 39 Part 17310 tanker car shipments. Performed with bulk petroleum installation slates by tragically DA Form 3440 Department of Army Transportation Agreement Umler Pooling Services for train set out order of the DA Form 5616 with the routing slip of DA Form 1222 DOD Form 1805 Domestic Freight Routing Request Order Petroleum Slate Terminal Message Report Issue Receipt Scheduled for Dispatch. PHMSA Record Keeping Title 49 CFR 107620 Record Keeping Requirements. Following list is DA Form 5706R Track Bulletin M, DA Form 5619R Daily Empty Car Situation Report, DA Form 5618R Conductor's Wheel Report, DA Form 5617 Daily Statement of Cars on Hand, DA Form 5616 Cars Inspector Train Report, DA Form 5615 Set Out Report, DA Form 3626 Vehicle Registration Driven Record, DA Form 3440 Department of Army Transportation Agreement, DA Form 249042 or 2442 Unit Train Loading Worksheet, DA Form 1222 Routing Slip, DA Form 361 Transportation Discrepancy Report, DA Form 8662 Daily Inspection Diesel and Working Cranes, DA Form 1085 Domestic Freight Routing Request and Order, DA Form 1172 Application and ID Deer Surveillance, DOD Form 1335 Field Inspection Rail Car. Chapter Tanker Petroleum Facility Investigation Authority. The Inspection Authority, Federal Hazmat Material Transportation Law Authority, Federal Railroad Administration inspects the facilities record related to the hazmat transportation, specifically Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 5121 provides designated agents, U.S. Secretary of Transportation, including FRA, certified state hazmat waste, hazmat material investigators of the authority to inspect and investigate at a reasonable time and reasonable manner records property relating to the regulated hazmat material functions related to transportation and commerce law. The Strategic Corridor Network hazmat trains and security-sensitive material with a high hazard flammable transit made up of at least 20 cars of Class 3 flammable liquid are to be reviewed annually on the safety and security of the routes over transportation over the material chosen routes that pose the least overall safety and security risk. RRS headquarters staff is responsible for review of the route analysis and enforcement action in most cases. Office of the Hazmat Material Enforcement coordinates for the other federal, state, local government agency for the NRC Memorandum of Understandings, Environmental Protection Agency Memorandums of Understandings with the Transportation Security Agency Memorandum of Understandings. In addition, the EPA and the National NRC working agreements with the OHME has provided assistance to conduct a joint inspection with the numbers of federal agencies. Some of the federal agencies listed below are the Department of Defense Explosive Safety Board, Military Traffic Management Command, Department of Energy, the Department of Justice Federal Bureau, Investigation Bureau, Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Consumer Product Safety Commission, Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Customs Service, U.S. Coast Guard, General Service Administration, U.S. Post Service, Chemical Safety Board, Drug Enforcement Administration, PHMSA Hazmat Enforcement Teams, Priority Inspection List with a legal team on pipeline safety enforcement, regulatory procedure for the warrant, subpoena for the inspection, investigation, or amended plans, procedures, hearing with the presiding officer, powers and duties, making the civil and criminal penalties, ruling, making with regulatory guidance of defining those petroleum facilities as the rule of incompliant. The PHMSA Office of Enforcement is vested in multiple jurisdictions in highway, rail, marine, and aviation as operating authority, as well as pipeline fuel facility, any other place outside of the U.S. Coast Guard, any other hazmat material. In 2012, the FAA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FRA, and PHMS signed an interagency memorandum of agreement on cross-module hazardous material inspection enforcement with specific coordinated guidelines in the Department of Administrations and Hazmat Civil Enforcement Authority to intend for increase of hazmat inspection enforcement programs. The Memorandum of Agreement serves as the guidance for the inspector FRA technical representative interacting with the Department of Transportation during these operation administrations with the mutual understanding between DOT and U.S. Coast Guard with joint operation of the FRA, FMCAS, and FAA, PHMSS, and Memorandum of Understanding operating authorities on the U.S. Department of Transportation Hazmat Material. PHMS Office of Enforcement is vested with multiple jurisdictions, highway aviation operations, as well as pipeline fuel facilities, any other place outside the U.S. command with any other hazmat material. That was kind of repeated. My editor kind of made some errors and stuff. So I didn't review this one. PHMS input affected model administrators final on all application hazard material regulations special permit set forth in Title 49 CFR Part 106. Inspectors are encouraged suggestion, additions, amendments to the hazmat material regulations to improve safety. Regional Specialist Forwarding Staff Director, Hazmat Material Division. Tanker car inspection petroleum facility. During the readiness assessment visit, the main priority is to perform tanker car inspection in the field within shipper facility. U.S. Department of Transportation will inspect tanker car for repairs within shipper facility. Tanker cars shall be checked with a proper registration placarding in the assessment visit following tanker car investigation with Federal Railroad Administration Hazmat 6 compliance as well as Hazmat Incident File with DOT Form 5801. Tanker cars will be investigated with a non-destructive examination in accordance with American Petroleum Institute recommended practice 653 tanker inspection, repair, alteration, reconstruction. FRA Form 6180-86 and FRA Form 6180-96. PHMSA OHM Office of Hazmat Material Enforcement Enforcing Ticketing Program Noncompliance OF 052 052 0001 XX with a statement violation penalties listed in Appendix A to Subpart D of CFR Title 49 Part 106 Civil Penalties. VA Form 3626 Vehicle Registration Driven Record Tanker Car shall be registered site section Title 49 CFR 106 608 107 Title 49 CFR 107 608 107 612 Violation Baseline. U.S. DOT Inspection Worksheet Tanker Car Report with the FRA Full Hazmat Compliance Site Appendix C and Chapter Checklist for Written Violations side of the FRA Hazmat Compliance Manual. Registration of the tanker car's qualification, maintenance, and qualified inspectors. Statement contains all information defined in Chapter Title 49 CFR Part 1407 and submitted to the FMCSA Hazmat Material Division, MCECH Westing Building, MCECH 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 20590. Copy of the registration statement must file with the PHMSA recording requirements with Associated Administrator Hazmat Material Safety. Attention approvals of the PHH 32 Pipeline Hazmat Material Safety Administration. Use DOT Transportation 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington 205900001. Tanker car shipment is part of 173 Title 49 CFR Part 17310. Part in CFR Part 149 180 Subpart F qualification maintenance of the tank cars ensuring that there's a quality assurance program and qualification tanker cars for shipment under acceptable inspection and specification markings, also for repair, alteration, conversion, modification, followed by proper reporting, retention requirements for the periodic testing inspection tanker cars other than single unit tanker cars under the Food Federation Tanker Car Specs Title 49-179. Performing the car's inspector of the train report DA Form 5616 with the field inspection rail car report US DODX US NX Jinx Form DOD Form 1335 has material inspection FRA filed 5 types of reports, inspection reports, inspection reports, FRA Form 6180-96, violation reports, FRA Form 50, F6180 110. Notice the individual allegation form 618080 has material incident compliant investigation viva the memorandum report presentation conducted FRA form 618086. The TCL 1 unit each ground level of the inspection does not include the top level inspection but does include inspection of bottom fittings if so equivalent to tank car structural integrity. The TCT in addition above ground inspection criteria comprehensive inspection included with the ground level inspection both sides performing a top level inspection motive power and equipment inspectors should not be report to the subunits. Using subunit for each compliance inspection tanker car from the TCH and TCL of the tanker car activity code may only be used when assessing compliance with the Title 49 CFR 172.302A1, 172.304, 172.502A11, 172.516C2 and 6, 173.31, 174.50, 179, and 180. Tanker car unloading transportation operation 1 unit for inspecting tanker car loading, unloading, transloading operation Title 49 CFR 173.31G or 174.67. Notice the USTC codes of the tanker car inspection PHMS Office for the Hazmat Material Enforcement Manual. Concurrent hazmat material enforcement personnel may be revoked and modified without prior notice for the memorandum. Associated administrations for hazmat material safety prescribed the mayor and transportation specialist enforcement with a function title of the hazmat material investigator engages inspection enforcement activity compliance with the rules, regulations, standards, orders, special permits, and approvals issued by PHMSA. Other activities may be assigned. The Ops Man 070107 may be available public of the Freedom of Information Act, Title 5, U.S. Standard Code 5552. PHMS Hazmat Enforcement Teams Priority Inspection List Priority Category 1, Accident Investigation. 2, Compliant Investigation. 3, Fitness Inspections. 4, Priority Inspection List. 5, Joint Inspection Activities. 5, 6, Reinspection. 7, Routine Inspection. Following is a protocol of the PHMS Office of Hazmat Material Enforcement Inspection Procedures. Step 1, review company's documentation requesting new renewal of the special permit approval to include review the Step 2, review the company's accident inspection history, including past open complaints. Step 3, target the location specific special permit or approval to conduct fitness inspection that may include multiple location company customers or carriers. If warranted, note investigators will be conducting visits unannounced to ensure that the needs normal day-to-day operation observed during the inspection. Step 4, conducts a site visit. Conduct the inspection company's overall operation, include the practice procedure that would be authorized under the requested special permit or approval. Determine the applicability level of the safety regarding the operation under the requested special permit or approval, including risk assessment, worst case to least case scenario, internal quality assurance measures, security policies and procedures, employee training and certification. Determine if alternative option practices would be enable the company to operate under the existing regulatory requirement instead of the special permit or approval. Given the hazmat inspection FRA Form 6180-96F, the inspection report with a report of violation at Form FRA 6180-110, violation report in Form FRA Form 6180-86, report of the prosecution conduct by FRA found with any of the U.S. hazmat incidents, filing Form 5800 series, reports filing approval of the written violation with a checklist. Appendix A to Subpart D Guidelines Civil Penalties with the PHMSA, file with General Requirements, Training Requirements, Security Planning. This notification of foreign shippers, special permits or approval, the other requirements of the hazmat material, undeclared shipment, shipping paper, the emergency response information requirement, packing requirements, packable, label requirements, placard requirements, packing requirements, manufacturing, reconditioning, retesting requirements, activities subject to approval of packing, manufacturer, drum manufacturer, reconditioners, intermediate bulk containers, portable tank requalification, cylinder manufacturers, rebuilders, cargo tank motor vehicles, cylinder requalifications, area requirements, incident notifications, shipping papers, stowage, attendance, transportation requirements. Chapter the audit. Report auditing the Department of Army Logistic Agency FRA regulatory risk-based audits for the FRA Hazmat Material Division methodology evaluate shippers hazmat material tanker car facility audit. Shippers model incorporates inspection history, compliance history, citation history, safety history, time from last inspection, order to priorities, inspection and audits, tanker facilities, risk-based audits using creating an index of the regulatory compliance time since last audit, compliance history level, the tanker car facility certification, type of service, equipment and process. The facility risk module is intended for the planning national safety program plan with a regional and national level to assist regional hazmat material priorities, resource allocation. The national inspection plan for the FRA 8 FRA regions such as the primary railcar inspection points such as yards, offer sidings, and interchange points. Hold on. All right. The National Inspection Plan addressed for the railroad inspection has been materials detailed on a per carrier basis. FRA tanker facility audits. Report activity related to the quality assurance program of the new tanker car facility, including the new car construction repairs component of the manufacturing and repair. Also, tanker car owners and leases, and the audit report component. Facility compliance space entry, new car construction owner lease audit with the inspection repair facility. All audits should be unannounced. For audits conducted with the headquarters of the team in 4 weeks' notice should be given the regional office selected, and all reports of completion must be made available to the FRA management. Audits may be conducted in association with American Railroads. Pipeline Safety Management System Requirements, Area IP recommended 1173, audit and evaluation. Safety assurance of the process used for the audits to ensure the PHMS conforms to the American Petroleum Institute recommended practice, including service provided with the contractors. Operators shall have performed effectively with risk management progress toward improved pipeline safety performance. Pipeline operations shall maintain procedure planning, conducting documented with the audits and evaluation planning, audit and evaluations to consider past audits of evaluation, HTE level safety risk base posed by the process of being audited, evaluated, and the business of the degree of the process evaluated and audited. Audit and evaluation review and closure management shall define response team with addressing of identified findings for the audit and evaluation result of the internal audits and staff of corrective actions shall be reported with the management review records of the internal shall be maintained. Reporting and feedback system. Pipeline operators shall establish a non-punitive reporting and feedback process for an employee contractor with the reporting system shall be anonymous. Consider the benefits of the drawbacks of the anonymous system. With the data information gains for the implementation process of the shall be monitored, identify with the new and emerging risk, with the consider the risk evaluation, performance risk mitigation, analysis of the data. Pipeline operators shall follow the procedure of identification, collection, and analysis of the data, relation with the data of the pipeline system. The system performance to demonstrate suitable effectiveness of the PSMS hazmat material. The analyst shall include the data and integrate with the operation, maintenance, integrity management, and monitoring, measurement, audit, and evaluation management reviews, and other relevant sources for further improvements. Audit and evaluation plan schedule the location of coming year. Risk mitigation measures the reduced likelihood and consequences of releases should identify and evaluated the information considered included at a minimum. Review and equipment operability include control system and materials. Review procedure, authority, responsibilities, and accountabilities. A review of training drills, scenarios of development, and improve situational awareness. Review incident response preparation, including response times, adequacies, ability to coordinate stage and incident command system with a response personnel, internal and external to the organization. Identification of a high consequence area with emergency planning incident sites where we may be mobile and prepared people. When selection measure of the reduced preference should be given to prevent measure to eliminate reduce likelihood of the consequence of incidents, the operators shall implement selected measure, evaluate the impact at risk. Period analysis. Risk assessment should be reviewed, updated at least annually. Data information gained for the operation, maintenance, inspection, testing, integrity, related work, inside incident investigations, management of the top should select for the risk mitigation method of the record review of the risk analysis, testing, and inspection. Incident investigation, evaluate the lessons learned. Investigation incident shall include the following: identification cause of the incident, any of the contribution factors, investigation findings and lessons learned, evaluation, review, and effectiveness of all the emergency response procedure processes implemented as relevant to the incident. Any recommendation of the pipeline safety and performance improvement, including change of the process procedure that are identified with the result of investigation, likelihood of failure, current procedure, training, resource allocations, and chapter hazardous material management programs. Regulations found in Title CFR 49, Part 105, the definition general of the procedure of the defined hazmat material management program, creating charters across the continental United States with its investigation enforcement of the Department of Transportation have the material of the regulation either as what I call the Grand Commission as a figure of the commander of the U.S. Transportation Commissioner to be appointed by the deputy of the FRA, PHMSA, FAA, FMSCA with the authority to enforce compliance and investigations and each purpose of the scope of the hazmat material transportation within the United States of the state, the hazardous material management program, constitution charters in place with local hazmat emergency response with awareness program based on and around the Tank Car facility, creating charters across the continental United States aimed at investigation enforcement of the Department of Transportation hazmat material regulations, make the hazmat material management policy committees to act on environmental and hazmat material control programs. Note in the back of the book, this appendix is a sample guidance policy and charter. And what I call the Grand Commission legal teams bring the hazmat material awareness program and enforcement with the multiple jurisdictional, local, state, and continental United States Department of Transportation administrations for the joint enforcement with the gas distribution integrity management hazmat. Integration and management programs for railroad site oversight manager act as a FRA safety advocate for with the senior level railroad managers labor organizations utilizing delegated authority to enforce of deputizing those U.S. DOT administrators for care and handling the hazmat material Title 49 Part 107 Part D enforcement Part 190 pipeline safety enforcement regulatory procedures produce my hazmat material program deputies. Creating hazard material curriculum hazard first for the response under multiple applicable municipalities for serving hazard material awareness response that are found along with the strategic railroad corridor network pipeline distribution facilities. And a battalion unitized with the 88 Readiness Assessment American Petroleum Institute for readability centralized maintenance visit with the defensive supply chain system on the Navy, the Army, Air Force bases following list of the individual certifications required facility mission unitization for petroleum facility investigation along petroleum specialists, a pinning O badge for the deputized Federal Railroad Investigator PHMSA investigators. U.S. Ace Corps Engineering with White and Black Castle Navy Facility Engineers Commanders make a life cycle hazmat material management program with milestone and phase program management. Next chapter, the chapter State Emergency Response Commission. State Emergency Response Commission to work on the PHMSA federal level with a joint allied host nation transportation doctrine, hazmat material emergency response annually reporting to Congress in condition of the United States Unified Facility Guidelines criteria, given a commission to work on the Bureau of Investigation dealing with the State of the Commission Emergency Response Commission, creating a hazmat material program with around the country and application of domestic assistance, Commissioner of the Hazmat Emergency Planning, working with the consummation of the Grants U.S. DOT Plan, PHMSA Grant Applications Portal for Hazmat Material Public Sector Training Planning Grants, Title 49 U.S. Standard Code SS 5107, Hazmat Employee Training Requirements and Grants, Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 5116, Planning Training Grants, Monitoring and Review, Local Assistance for the Local Emergency Response Training, Hazmat Material Instructor Training, Supplemental Public Sector Training, and Community Safety. Replication of hazmat material emergency response instruction materials and programs available to the interstate and intrastate foreign commerce commission hazmat material program charters, provision with the hazmat emergency planning grant program application kit program guidance published for the other chapter of the hazmat material program, domestic assistance through the publication provisions with circular transcriptions, availability of the copy to public awareness upon request of the command of the U.S. Transportation Command, working with the commissioners to implement with the Battalion Military Occupational Specialist 92F. These special will give it an advanced initial training of the UFC with the petroleum facility to make preventable maintenance checks around the Naval Pipeline Facility, work with the Engineering Commander Office for the U.S. Air Force Project Managers for facility management with the new technologies targeted around response spill prevention, given the reportable amount of gas distribution integrity management for the Defense Fuel Supply Center, Congressional Report, Total Army Performance Evaluation, Naval Command Officers, and U.S. Air Force Project Commander for DoD's logistic milestones. Reports of the Defense Fuel Supply, U.S. DOT Administrator of the Congressional Report of the Statements with the proclaimed Grand Commissioner to speak with the absence The proclaimed Grand Commissioner speaking in the absence of the State Emergency Response Commission with the Secretary of the Transportation Field Hazmat Relations speaking to the Vice Secretary of Congress annual reports given in an executive order power grand guardianship recommended with the hazmat material non-compliance established represent hazmat material management programs in state and local districts to speak advocate for common defense with the Environmental Hazmat Regulatory Task Force agencies and Commerce Transportation Hazmat Material Administration. Escort battalions is given the escort. The battalion is given an advanced jurisdiction of facilities with an associated fed gas and no gas requirement in the battalions with the troops, the teachers, helps, deputized employees, law enforcement, first responders, emergency preparedness, investigators in state and local jurisdiction, U.S.FRA, PHMSA, and Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or multiple agencies on patrolling spill sites, creating out-of-state, interstate critical job performance specialists within the public for tank car and patrolling facility investigations. Specialist 88 Black Cat Division working in a tanker car cleaning, spill prevention cleaning with a numerical tanker car cleaning procedure, spill methods contained with the emergency response guide book. Navy's commanding officer of the U.S. Air Force project managers within DoD logistic milestones report with the defense fuel supply congressional reports. With the deputy with the chief of garrison, officer of the D4 Hazmat Constitution Hazmat Material Program Enforcement Strategic Army Railway Corridor or Network DoD Supply Chain Management Policy Office of the House for the Office of the House for the Office of the Secretary of Defense Office for the Chairman Joint Chief of the Staff the Assignment Officer 06 below the Enlisted Personnel Chairman Joint Chief of the Staff Instruction 1340-01A Deputized U of the FRA PHMSA FMSCA Interstate Delivery MOGAS Troops to Teachers the Army Colleges created with the first responders concurred with the investigation around with the Naval facility with the Pipeline Engineering Commander Office of the Associated U.S. Air Force Project Manager provided the DoD logistic refumed. Commissioner reporting Congress official years of the response with the Defensive Fuel Supply System condition with investigating hazardous material gas distribution facilities within Secretary of Transportation in its annual reports Title 49 U.S. Canon Code SS 5116-6K. Chapter Inspector Hazmat Curriculums. Chapter Inspector Hazmat Curriculums. Hazmat Material Management Program STED for the Assistant Local Emergency Response Training, also known as ALERT. The ALERT grant promotes hazardous response training with the volunteer remote emergency responders and with the response activity including transportation of crude oil, ethanol, other flammable liquids by rail consistent with the National Fire Protection Association standards. Hazmat Material Instructor Training grant is a training with the training program facility with a training of hazmat instructors who will then conduct training with the hazmat material regulations for hazmat employees. The catalog for federal domestic assistance number is 2703 Interagency Hazmat Material Public Sector Training and Planning Grants. Supplemental Public Sector Training and the Trainer Program Facility Training of the instructor who will conduct the training hazmat response for the individual with statutory responsibility to respond hazmat accidents and incident with the community safety response enhanced capability of communities to prepare for and respond to hazmat accidents, incidents, support with the trained state and local enforcement personnel who are responsible for enforcing safe transportation of hazmat materials. Sponsoring the state and local education program or SAIL program provided a mechanism of the state enforcement agencies public safety with the agencies exchanging information to address issues about hazmat material transportation and hazmat material regulation. The national multi-module seminars and local workshops are scheduled annually free of charge of the OHMIT Office of Hazmat Material Planning and Analysis, supporting hazmat material safety programs, has hazmat material registration programs and emergency response grants, which is funded by the registration fees. American Petroleum Institution individual certifications: AIP 51 510 pressure vessel inspector, 570 pipe inspector, 653 above ground storage and tank inspector, API TES tank entry supervisor, API 1169 pipeline construction inspector, API 5071 corrosion materials, API 577 welding inspector metallurgy, API 580 risk-based inspection, API 936 refactory personnel, API SIFA source inspector field source inspector field fixed equipment, SIE source inspector electrical equipment, SIRE and source inspector rotating equipment, You also have the AIP IAQ1 and 2, Internal Auditor Q1, Internal Auditor Q2, Auditor API AQ1, Auditor Q1, AQ Q2, Auditor Q2, API LAQ1, Lead Auditor Q1, API LAQ2, Lead Auditor Q2. Then we have API Qualified Ultrasonic Testing Examiner Phased Array, API Qualified Ultrasonic Testing Examiner Sizing, API Qualified User Ultrasonic Testing Examination Detector. We have API Qualified User Ultrasonic Testing Examiner Cracking Size, API QTE Qualified Ultrasonic Testing Examiner Thickness Measurement. The Federal Railroad Administration operating hazmat motive power and equipment inspector armatized with the inspection certificate subscriptions point toward American Petroleum Institutes and their facility. FRA job title, job descriptions, railroad safety specialist supervisor, hazmat material manager, tank car safety programs, provide evaluation, direction, technical advice to the FRA tanker safety programs, advanced progress, and tanker car manufacturing repair analysis proposal, alternative inspection procedures under Title 49 CFR 18509K. Railroad safety specialist, HM, tanker car quality assurance specialist, perform tanker car facility compliance audits and conduct investigation tanker car involved the OATAM defects, the in-service value of service of the resource field force regarding tanker cargoes, tanker car facility quality assurance, and lead tanker car damage assessment team, and multiple tank derailments. Investigation of petroleum pipeline with the PHMSA Chapter 49, Part 190 has material public sector training planning grant, secure smart pay training with the Office of the Hazmat Material Safety Enforcement and Division, and the Investigator Training and Certification Program, ITCP. In the Investigation Training Program, PHMSA conducts authorities on Title 49 CFR 107, the Hazmat Material Management Program, Part D, in conjunction with Part 101, Part 100 180, and Title CFR 149. Training programs based on compliance investigators, GS 1801, meeting provisions of Title 29 CFR Part 173, Part H. The need for a national field training officer with the Office of the Hazmat Material Safety coordinates academic certification Office of the Hazmat Material Enforcement Investigators used in order to fill vacancy or NFTO liaison, federal, local, and state. Department Army Inspector General Agency Training Division 55,021 First Street, Suite 2305, Fort Bellevue, Virginia 22060595. Teaching and training readiness and assessment visits. New chapter, Strategic Railroad Corridor Network. Continental United States Strategic Railroad Corridor Network and scope of the civil rail lines, most importantly the National Defense Study with the readiness coordination of the documents for the defense rail line requirements, and review of the Military Traffic Management Command of the Transportation Agency of the FRA Administration. Or railway connectors. These also may be beneficial to the national defense that can be used for the detour routes and service interruption occurred on the Stragnet. Given the current list of the DoD installation activities requiring with the rail service to accomplish their assigned mission, the Military Trafficking Management Command and the Transportation Engineering Agency FRA reviewed the lines and screens of the final list of the Department of Defense. Railroad and National Defense are established by a Deputy of Secretary of the Defense request for the Commander of the Military Traffic Management Command and coordinated with the Department of Transportation over the Federal Railroad Administration to ensure civil railroad policy plans and standards and programs gain support and responsiveness to defensive rail lines and requirements. The Strategic Railroad Corridor Network is a 30,000-mile interconnected network of the railroad corridors important to the national defense. Railroad National Defense monitor the rail network for the abandonment affecting the strategic corridor network connectors track improvement to downgrade of the abandonment lines. Following these KLAS is Class 3 Petroleum Operation Reference. We have AA 52, 55, 7 a day, CID, oil, diesel, and post-camp station, DA Form 7 and 10, to one using unit supply system. Some of the installation with the rail service required that they actually serve by off-post railheads rather than track on the installation, given it is a similar OP. However, the most installation, while rail service is important, are services on tracks installation property. CO cooperative insured youth transportation resource inland surface transportation provided military movement and transportation plans information for planning using off inland surface transportation resources support NATO operations railroad transport. Rail transport is normally the most suitable means to largely quantities of materials over long distances on land. There are limitations to the dimensions of the items which may be moved by rail. See AMOVP4 instruction manual used by the national rail companies in the military movement and military equipment. NATO principles and policies of movement of the transportation states it's essential for the allowance of the military credibility with the capability exists over the intra-allied multinational cooperation deploy force of a timely manner in order to undertake the full spectrum of alliances, roles, and missions. They also apply with the transportation sustainment, resupply, and redeployment that respond to the situation Allied Joint Publication A4, AJP4. Allied Joint Logistic Doctrine was developed to address the logistic movement and transportation and medical doctrine. NATO command structure manages rather than control the movement. The management movement may depend on the situation operational level, initiation of the reprioritization coordination, and deconfliction coordination resources monitoring on movement. Two different NATO movement and transportation structures integrated NATO command structure, NCS, or the Combined Joint Task Force. Sending nations or national support element. The mission of the sending nation is responsible for planning, controlling, executing movement of the one NATO forces, two NATO components of the multinational forces, three multinational headquarter group, and or unit with a degree or multinationality. If the sending nation has agreed to assume that the lead nation is responsible, and for the force of the other nations if agreed. The Detailed Defense Deployment Plan, or DDP, is Allied Deployment Movement System, ADAMS. Format-based Allied disposition of the ADL, which include the designated NATO commander priorities. NATO guidelines, operational planning, 5-step initiation, 2 orientation, 3 concept of development, 4 planning development, and 5 plan review. In conclusion, chapter 8 line, and we're going to pause the tape there. I got to pee.